In this video, I sit down with Trish, a former Jehovah's Witness from Cape Town, South Africa, currently locked in a custody battle for her daughter. She relates her experiences coming into the organization to a subsequent ordeal. This is how it went. All right, so welcome to the channel. I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Trish from all the way from Cape Town. Is that correct, Trish?
That's right.
All right. Yes. Thank you for making time to come on the channel with me and to share your story. Yeah, very interesting story. I think just to give people a background before I hand over to you is Trish reached out to me on TikTok. She saw one of my TikTok videos and connected with me about Jehovah's Witnesses and the things that I post over there. And we got in touch and heard your story. And I said, look, we need to talk about this because it's something that affects a lot of people. So welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for making time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be on this platform of yours. Thank you for engaging with me. I appreciate it.
Perfect. So Trish, let's start off. Let's start off background. Okay, so you weren't a Jehovah's Witness, first of all.
No.
Okay.
I was born in a family of Christians, and Pentecostal Christians, really, the happy clappy Christians. And later on in my life, at the age of about 21, I moved into an area where it was predominantly Afrikaans. And it was difficult for me to continue my Christian religion in an Afrikaans-speaking church. Yeah. So I did a bit more research and I came across the Jehovah's Witnesses at the age of 21.
Okay, 21, eh? Wow. Yeah. So you joined the Witnesses because you did some research and you came across them and then you joined.
That's correct. So I did some research. Somebody actually said to me that there's a Kingdom Hall down the road. And I went into the internet to find out what more they offered or what was their religious beliefs. And I went into the internet and I downloaded a publication and I read it. And I enjoyed the teachings, I must say. Some of the things that they said were very clear. There's no doubt about that. It made sense to me. So I just want to make mention as well, there's a video of me on the ExJW org website of my story.
Okay.
Of me actually learning the truth, downloading the publications and learning the teachings from their website. And then directly from the website, I drove to the Kingdom Hall. I first called Bethel. They gave me the number for the Kingdom Hall. I contacted the elder. And when I went there, we shook hands and we met for the first time. And there's a video of that on the ExJW website.
Oh, interesting. That's a really interesting story because you don't hear of stories like that, how people, actually join the Witness. A lot of people are mostly born in, and it's generational. Right. So you were actually first generation. You took the time out of you, and did and approached him by yourself. All right. So you, and eventually did you get baptized?
I did get baptized. I studied, and 6 months thereafter I got baptized. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So interesting. And this is where I want to get into the reason why we're having this conversation today is the subsequent issues that you started facing when you became a part of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So you want to elaborate on that, how you met the person that you eventually married. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, of course. So
Yeah.
a few months after I got baptized, I was attending one of the assemblies, and I met my husband. We got married shortly thereafter. I was 25 years old, and after being together, I mean, the Jehovah's Witnesses really put pressure on us not to have children. As a young couple, to rather engage in doing the preaching work, to volunteer as much of our, to sacrifice as much of our employment to do more of the preaching work and to do more for those in the congregation. So we did sacrifice. However, in the 5th year of our marriage, I did decide to have a baby, and we did. But my husband said that before, even the elders in the congregation said before I decide to do that, because it's a big decision, that I should become a regular pioneer. And I did. I became a regular pioneer, and it was the most, um, it was really hard. It was very, very
Mm,
hard on me. To go from house to house, to get people telling you, why do you keep coming to our homes? And the thing is, the sad thing is that I used to go home and I used to feel for them. I really used to feel for them.
mm,
It was not a pleasant experience for me, and it was not a pleasant experience for them. And the more I spent time with the brothers and sisters, the more I felt pressured to continue, even though I never wanted to continue. I felt like I was doing it more as a chore or rushing for the hours, the 60 hours every month that you had to get.
yes.
You know, it like writing letters like for 10 hours a day just to make that 60 hour mark, so that it was embarrassing. It's embarrassing
Mm,
when you get it's great when you get told, "Oh, I'm a regular pioneer." Everybody's like, "Yay, you're a regular pioneer in the congregation." And then if you don't meet that 60 hour mark every month, then it's embarrassing when the congregation elder has to stand there and say that Trisha is no longer a regular pioneer, and you
mm,
feel like the
mm.
biggest failure in the world. So there was a lot of pressure. It
Wow.
was a lot of pressure answering, like you had to study. I mean, you had to like really study. It was hard to go out and listen to people, and when they ask you difficult questions, you were like put on the spot. You had to answer. However, after I had my baby, it became really difficult because I couldn't continue keeping up being a regular pioneer. So I stepped down. Unfortunately, the pressure. My parents are not Jehovah's Witnesses,
Mm-hmm.
and the people in the congregation, as well as my husband and his family who are Jehovah's Witnesses, said that they are not a good influence on my baby girl, and I had to sever a relationship with my
Wow.
parents. Yes, yes. In order to save my marriage, there were
Mm,
constant arguments. On My husband is was German and I'm Indian, so my little baby girl, she had both. She had the experience of both cultures, both different experiences. And unfortunately, with the Indian culture, we come with a lot of traditions, colors,
mm.
everything, and um, he did not want her to be a part of that. And
Wow.
more so because they're Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't associate with those who are worldly,
Mm, mm.
and that
And,
hurt
and
my
and
family.
sorry, just to interject, yeah, just interject there. Look, and I know the Indian culture, especially in South Africa, is a very close knit culture.
That's right.
All about family.
That's right.
I spent 26 years in Durban, so I know
Yeah.
how the Indian culture works. And I've got
Yes.
friends and family who are Indian. So that's very hard to remove yourself from a culture where it's all about family and tradition, and now being told to cut them off. So I can imagine how that affected you.
It was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard because you I couldn't do anything else. The
Mm,
congregation, the people became my family. They became my friends, and you must remember they're not. But you couldn't tell them you're sad. That was the worst thing. Because if I had to tell them that I was sad and that I missed my mom and my dad, it would be like, no, but you're doing this for Jehovah. You're doing the best thing for your little girl. You're keeping away from worldly association. Um, Jehovah will bless you. You will be blessed in paradise. You're teaching your child the best thing. She's not going to get influenced into celebrating birthdays and other like Easter and all of those things, Christmas and things like that. And it was really taxing,
Mm.
mentally and emotionally taxing. And I started to go downhill from there. I started to
Mm.
spiral. I started to get sick. And my husband began abusing me because did not want to, I didn't have the motivation to go to the meetings. I didn't have the motivation. All I would do is cry. I did not want to, all I wanted to do was look after my little girl because she became like my support. I felt putting all my energy into being a mom was the most important thing. I said, I don't want to serve Jehovah if he's going to be like this, if I can't have a relationship with my family. And if everybody around me is encouraging me not to, I don't want to speak to them. I don't want to be with them. And unfortunately, they came in the physical abuse and sexual abuse. And it was really hard because when that happens in your marriage, the elders usually are supposed to come in.
Right.
And it was difficult because I was told to suck it up because my husband was an elder. He was a congregation overseer, a field service overseer, and that is hard. If you are an elder's wife and you know that you are literally like a widow, because if you
Mm.
go to conventions and you go to the congregation and you go to the assemblies, your husband is never with you. You're literally left alone with the kids. You're literally left alone packing the lunches, talking to everybody. You have to have a smile on your face. Otherwise, you're labeled as a really bad elder's wife if you don't socialize, if you're not friendly. There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And my husband was needed in the congregation. He was needed at all hours to go out to other people's homes to sort out their family problems and sit with the Bible and talk to them. He was needed to have elder meetings. It was hard. I was left alone a lot of times with
Uh,
my baby girl. A lot.
so, when the abuse started, you approached the elders
That's right.
and told them about the abuse, and
Yes.
they said, "Suck it up,
Yes.
just carry on as normal." He's, as you say, he was a congregation overseer.
They
So,
needed him.
there was no actual help coming from the elders, so to speak, in terms of you coming forward and talking about the abuse. That's crazy.
So
That's crazy.
So it was really hard because they said, go speak to our wives, go ask them. They know what it feels like to have this type of pressure because they're eldest wives and we've been married for 35 years. And I don't, I needed my husband to be there emotionally for me. You can't
Mm.
expect me to sacrifice my mental well being as a new mother for the others in the congregation because they don't know what's going on behind the closed doors. They knew about it, the elders knew about it.
Mm.
And they said to me that they will constantly contact us and make sure that everything is going fine. We never did anything about it. So I had to go and take matters into my own hands, and I went and sought the assistance of a psychiatrist. I got myself into some medication to help me cope with the situation. I went for counseling. They talked to me. They were wonderful. They tried to include my husband. My husband said no. We have elders to help us. We don't need psychologists. Eventually, yeah, I was told that there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
me. I need to pray to Jehovah to become well.
And that's typical, I must admit, that's typical because those types of things, that type of encouragement that you got is, oh, you just got to pray to Jehovah and consult the publications. Because, going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist is seen as these are worldly people that will lead you astray
Exactly.
from. So it's typical, how these things are handled. And elders are not trained. They're not trained to deal with things like this. That's why it's just consult the publications, pray to Jehovah, read the Bible. That's all they can do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a new mother. I didn't have time to read more publications and sit and pray or go for a cup of tea with another elder's wives. It was terrible. much of the gossiping started that way in the congregation. As soon as you start sharing your story with other, you just have to keep everything to yourself. But yes, the psychiatrists asked me, why don't you have other support system? Why is there only the Jehovah's Witnesses? Where is your family? Where are your friends? Where are those who are not constantly telling you to pray to Jehovah, read the publications, those who keep on sending you messages from the congregation saying, keep strong, Jehovah loves you, There's more to the body than just spiritual healing. There's physical healing as well. Eventually, I left. I had the courage to leave through psychological assistance. I left.
Okay.
And I asserted my authority as a parent in my child's life. I made sure that the biggest issue was that he refused to give me parental rights in respect that if she had to have an accident, he will refuse a blood transfusion. That was the biggest problem. I said I want a divorce. I want a divorce because he did not want to give me a divorce. He refused to give me a divorce.
Wow.
Because there was no fornication.
Exactly, because their only grounds for divorce is fornication or adultery, Exactly. They don't recognize abuse and physical, emotional abuse as a grounds for divorce, which is,
that was the biggest thing, that the elders stated they were going to disfellowship me if I continued with divorce because it's out of scriptural grounds. So if I had to divorce my husband and I had to find somebody that would take care of me and love me and give me the emotional support that I need down the line, I would get disfellowshipped and I would be shunned from the Christian congregation.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That is against my human rights of dignity and integrity.
Absolutely. I agree. Totally. And that's why I say, when it comes to human rights and the organization and the congregation, a lot of the human rights are being trampled on, when it comes to things like these. Which is just so sad. It's so sad. It really is sad. So you left, you decided, this is it, I'm leaving. But you're still going to enforce your parental rights on your daughter. Tell us what happened with the daughter with that issue.
So during the time that I was getting the psychological assistance that I need from the I call it religious obsessive disorder, because when you become obsessive about your religion, if you have a bad thought in your mind, you keep on thinking, did I do bad? Did I do bad? There's a wonderful article that's actually on the internet. I can't recall the author's name, but it's called Religious Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. And I had to have therapy to get over it. To stop fearing Armageddon. To stop fearing that I was not good enough. To stop fearing that I have to watch my back. If anybody had to go to the elders and say she did this and then get shunned in the congregation, I had to learn to be at ease, at peace. I'm a human. I make mistakes. It's okay. It's okay to assert my authority as a woman as well. And it was not an easy process, but that process was used against me. He had taken that information to court, and he said that I was not mentally stable enough to look after my daughter. And as a result, he took all my parental rights away from me. And I do not have a relationship with my daughter. I haven't seen her since last year, November 2021. He's taken her away from me.
Yeah. Wow.
And as far as I know at the moment, she sits in a separate room when other children are celebrating their birthdays and they are getting their little packs. She does not engage in the Easter egg hunts. There's that video on the JW website talking about one mommy and one daddy. Before she was taken away from me, he constantly made her watch that, and it was terrible because she kept on going and asking kids at school, "Do you have a mommy and do you have a daddy?" Because that's the only Jehovah likes those types of things. And I thought to myself, she was only 3, and I thought to myself, that is way too much. It's too overwhelming for a child to actually be aware of something like that. It's
It
against her
is,
constitutional rights as well.
yeah, it is total indoctrination. It is
It
total
is indoctrination.
manipulation and indoctrination that they're currently doing to her.
Yes.
So how old? She's 3 years old currently, you say, Trish?
She's turning 5 next week
So, oh,
Tuesday.
wow. And you have no access to her.
Yeah.
Wow. And currently, are these battles in? I know you mentioned when we had a chat before that there's court cases
So
ongoing.
So what
Yeah.
happened is I went to court on Monday to see if I could get back to having a relationship with my daughter. So you must remember there's a lot of rules and protocols to follow, and because he literally picked up his clothes and he left our home, and he stopped paying any resources. He basically financially abused me, left me completely destitute, and used that as another reason to take my baby girl away from me because I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet. Now you must remember, I became a regular pioneer, I became a mom, I stayed at home, I did everything that a good eldest wife is supposed to do, and then he said that I must go look for a job and care for myself, and he just left me completely destitute. So understandably so, it it does not make sense to the court to put her in my care because I just got divorced in March this year. So I'm still trying to find my identity, and even though it's really bad because I don't, he refused any contact with me. Even though he put me in this situation. However, um, I have done my independent psychiatric tests and they all came back positive. So I am obeying the court as far as I'm concerned. I'm doing everything. I will do the best that I can to obey the law. I will not fall for his shenanigans. On Monday, when I went to the court, I found out through other Jehovah's Witnesses they had a gathering. He was busy having an affair with one of the members in the congregation. That lady was walking into the courtroom with my baby.
Oh man. And
And
is
there
he
were
still an
other.
elder?
I am
Is he
not
still an
aware.
elder? Okay.
I'm not aware. There were other Jehovah's Witnesses with them. I recognized them. They were previously my friends, and they were there too. They were all of them together. My baby girl was in. That was the first time I've seen my baby girl. My baby girl didn't see my face. She was hiding her head in the lady's neck. But for me to have seen that and to recognize the other people who were my friends, they were there with him, supporting him. It was sort of like a mob attack because I chose to speak out. I chose to stand out. I chose to speak out and be brave and not conform.
Yeah.
And to yeah.
And it's typical
Expose.
because it's typical of how they operate because the fact that you stood up against the system, against the organization, against your abuse, and they would rather listen to what the watchtower says you must do, what the governing body says you must do. You got to follow their rules, but forgetting the abuse and the trauma that you have gone through as a mother, and I mean the basic trampling on your basic human rights, right? Still holding up your ex-husband as this. Oh, well, it looks to me he's still in good standing in the congregation because if there were Jehovah's Witnesses there supporting him in court, he's probably still in good standing in the organization.
For sure, his parents, everybody was there, and since I have come into this really bad space in my life, I have decided to study the Children's Act, and I'm very familiar with it.
Okay.
And what I do know is that in the Children's Act, it says that a child has a right not to be subjected to the religious beliefs of a religion. They have a right to choose. And right now, at this age, they cannot choose for themselves. You cannot subject them to not celebrating birthday or forcing them to certain spiritual or religious beliefs. That is for them to make a decision when they're 16 and above. Or when they're at an age where they understand. Because belonging to the Jehovah's Witness organization is a huge, huge step. That even adults even deal with the mental pressure of it. Imagine how a child must deal with it.
Correct.
The mental pressure, the emotional pressure.
Yeah. And look, let's paint this picture. To just relating back to you. You came into the organization at 21, right? Which you made up your own mind, and
That's right.
A child. Many of the kids in the organization get baptized at the age of 10, 11, 12, 13. Look, I was 13 years old when I got baptized.
Wow.
I was 13 years old when I got baptized as a witness. Very young. And as you say, you're not an adult. You're not at your thinking faculties to understand what you are going to be subjected to and the steps that you're taking. Your brain is not fully developed at that age yet. So for you to take that decision, and you sit there going through 60 questions that you got to answer to ensure that you qualify for baptism.
That's right.
Absolutely. So indoctrinating a little child. Oh man, this is just crazy. But it just shows you how it's truly not right.
What I do know is, besides the moral compass of how wrong it is, we've got the United Nations Hague Convention that protects children against this. We've got the South African Children's Act that protects children against this. It's still continuing. And we need to stand up against it, not only for my child, but I've dedicated my life to standing up for other children that are in that position, that want to speak out. Because they might be in those families and they might say, I cannot deal with this. Mommy and daddy want me to not celebrate my birthday, or they want me to go to school and be bullied for not singing the country's anthem. What do we do to those children? How do we offer them emotional support?
Correct.
How do we help them have a better emotional future so that they never grow up with this type of emotional damage? Because that's what they're doing. They're emotionally damaging our children.
You are so right. And I like that term that you're using, because it is damage. It is emotional damage and mental damage that you're doing to children, Exactly. And as you say, it takes adults who come out of the organization, and not only from other high control groups too. Let's put Jehovah's Witnesses aside. Many of us who come out of that, there is so much we've gone through to unlearn. We've got to go to therapy, because it is just not normal behavior and practices that we learn in those groups. Imagine what damage it does to a child, growing up. Right. Yeah.
That's why I can't get the name of the author, but she makes a lot of good sense. And there's a lot of articles written about religious obsessive compulsive disorder.
Wow.
Where we are obsessive about sticking to the rules and the principles of what not to do. And it becomes obsession.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Exactly. And the point that you made earlier on, where you went and spoke to, you went for therapy with a psychiatrist, and where the psychiatrist actually asked you, where are your family? Where are your mom and your dad? Where are your family? I think, and here's a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists don't have a deeper understanding of how these high control groups, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, like the Mormons, like the Scientologists, how they actually isolate you and what impact it has. Because normal religion, like normal churches, you won't find that in mainstream churches, You
That's
can
right.
belong to a different religion and you won't be shunned, in your family or whatever. But with high control
Exactly.
groups, this happens. And I think a lot of our psychiatrists and psychologists that we have, especially in this country, do not understand the deeper impact that has on individuals like us that come out of high control groups
Yes.
like that. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's a very important point.
Yes.
Awareness needs to be created of how
Yes.
this impacts people's lives. Yeah, religious
Definitely.
trauma, religious trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Definitely. Absolutely.
yeah,
The problem is mental health as a whole in South Africa has not really reached really
mm,
the finances from the government is not that the funding is not that great. So
yeah,
funding for lower communities is not well developed. But I believe that trauma within the religion, within the Jehovah's Witness religion, therefore is non-existent if we
mm,
don't get it right. But what I do believe that is when you feel something in a religion, you feel so powerful and everybody is telling you, yes, 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 this is
mm,
brilliant, you should, you know, it's hard. It's an emotion. It's a strong emotion. And when you come down from that, you are so flat. You are so
yeah,
emotionless. You are so numb. Who is there to help you pick up those pieces? Because those people in the religion are most certainly not there to help you pick up the pieces. Because
correct.
they don't know themselves how to. All they know is to do what the elders and the organization is telling them to do.
Mm,
What
mm,
the watchtowers are telling them to do. That's all they know.
yeah,
It
yeah,
does not allow you to think for yourself. It does not allow you to seek emotional support for yourself. And
yep.
when you become isolated, you can't find that outside because where else do you go?
Correct, correct. So look, you're back with your parents at the moment. I'm glad you've got a at least back in support system around
Yes,
you, which is a good thing.
yes, yes.
A lot of us are not that lucky because we get come out of those situations, and many of people who are disfellowshipped or excommunicated
That's right.
are isolated even outside because they don't know anything else, and they battle to find get back into
Yes.
normal society again. So I'm glad you're getting the support that you actually need from your family, the other side that hasn't shunned you, which is a good
Yes.
thing. I know you've got a fight ahead in terms of your daughter.
Yes.
Um, I know that's a big fight, but I'm actually so proud and that you are so courageous in pursuing this,
Thank you
because
very much.
people need to hear about this, and
People
thank you
need
for
to hear
speaking
about
out.
it. Thank
People,
you.
thank you for speaking out. Yeah,
Thank you.
we need more. We
And
need more.
definitely,
Yeah,
it's a group effort. It's a group effort.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
came out of it, and now I'm studying to make sure that I make a mark to make sure that
Yeah,
people know that children's rights are important. But because of my
correct.
past experience, I want people to know that children have a right to choose when it comes to their religion.
Yeah, yeah,
That children have a right not to be discriminated. Even further in schools, our kids already have so much pressure in schools, cyberbullying, all of these things. Now you want to add religious pressure on them in schools. It's you're setting your
it
child
really
up for
is.
failure. So
Yeah,
each one of
yeah,
us can just make a small difference. I think we can definitely we can help each other,
yeah,
especially in South
yeah,
Africa with our political climate and all of those things. We all learn it. We all know about our law and everything like that. So
yeah,
it makes it much easier for us to actually get to know our rights.
yeah. No, for
Yeah,
sure, for sure. No, I'm glad. I'm glad we had this conversation, and I'm glad you reached out to us, and I'm glad that you actually agreed to coming on this the show with me, because I wanted to give this platform to you and to show other Jehovah's Witnesses, especially in South Africa, that don't be afraid to speak out. What's wrong is wrong, and we need to stand together and highlight
yes,
these issues that we're facing. So thank you for joining, Trish. I know you've got, as I said, you've got a battle ahead,
yes.
and I think all the viewers that will watch this are wishing you, probably rooting and wishing you all the best um, in your current fight that you have. But know that there is a community out there,
Yes.
and this goes to everybody. There's a community out there that understands what you're going through, understands all of us are going through, who've come out of these types of religions. And there's a support system. We've got a support system online, and many other Jehovah's Witnesses around the world will definitely be able to support you and stand with you in these things. So where can people find you? I know you've got a TikTok account. So I'll link your TikTok in the bio later on. So they can follow you on TikTok. Any other social media platforms that you want to highlight?
No. You know how Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't like social media very much, so I just started with TikTok at this point.
TikTok, okay. All right. So I'll link your TikTok handle in the things, and then people can follow you.
I am so happy and willing to listen to anybody. I'm willing to give them my time and help them emotionally, any way that I can to help them survive, because we are survivors.
Absolutely.
And we're going to help each other survive. And I'm there to help anybody who needs that assistance. Yes. So yes, I'm very happy and I'm very grateful to be on this platform with you and have this chat with you. I really am grateful.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We admire your courage, and keep on, man. Keep on. You're strong.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right. That's the show, folks. We'll say goodbye to Trish, and maybe she'll come back on the platform again in the future just to update us on developments. We'd love that.
Yes.
So, Trish, thank you. And it's been great having you on the show. We'll chat again soon.
Thank you. You take care of yourself.
Cheers. Bye-bye.